like to call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. Chris, isn't it? Amy, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Detzel?
Here.
Mr. Harlow? Here. Mr. Heather? Mr. Engel?
Here.
Mr. Detzel?
Here.
Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pam, at this time, I'd like to add an agenda item that was not placed on an executive session for the end. The executive session will be to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation and other terms and conditions of their employment.
We'll go ahead and then make that motion at the end of the meeting. Okay, all of you have received a copy of the meeting minutes from June 12th. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Second.
Moved in second. Any corrections or additions? Okay, Amy?
Wait, I mean, I did try joining it, did it last time. There it goes. I don't know. There we go.
Motion passes 5-0. Tonight's always a good night when the room's filled like this, and I believe we are recognizing all of our state qualifiers from both Northwest and Colerain High Schools.
Right, you took care of my introduction.
So sorry.
Okay, we are going to recognize our state qualifiers and all state athletes this evening, and we are pleased to have both of our high school athletic directors with us tonight. So, without further ado, I'd like to have Brad Watkins, athletic director at Northwest High School, come forward and recognize his student athletes who did qualify for the state tournament.
Thank you, Pauletta. It's my privilege to honor and recognize two of our state qualifiers, our two state qualifiers this evening at Northwest High School. Both participated in winter sports, one in wrestling and one in bowling. I'm going to speak on behalf of Coach Terrence Johnson, our head bowling coach, this evening, and introduce sophomore Max Pearson as our state qualifier for boys bowling. Max, why don't you walk up and I'll say some nice things about you while you're standing up here. Max is a sophomore. Max competed, our freshman year. Max's father and I kind of go back and forth with kind of the funny story that is how Max got involved in bowling. Max, was really interested in competing and participating and trying out for basketball. Things didn't work out. Max's father called and said, is there any other things that you guys offer during the winter? I said, well, we've got a pretty good bowling team. Does he have any interest in that? Well, yeah, he can bowl. He's pretty good at that. So Max had a tremendous first year as a bowler in our program as a freshman. And one thing I can say about Max is that if coached or told to do something a certain way, Max is going to do that. So I go up to the district meet. I'm watching, and I know about as much bowling as Fred Flintstone does. I can twinkle toe and roll it up there, and I know nothing else. But we've got great coaches, and Coach Terrence Johnson did a tremendous job of coaching our athletes this year, but does a really nice job of individualizing. And Terrence, I could see him whispering to Max here, go this many boards, this, that, and the other. And Max took to the coaching, did what he was asked to do in true Max fashion, and was our only state qualifier, making it on to the state meet. So Max has got a bright future at Northwest, has done just an awesome job of representing Northwest High School and everything that we ask our student athletes to do. So Max, congratulations, Mom and Dad, congratulations, well deserved, bud.
Mrs. Detzel and Mr. Bowling come forward to have a picture taken. You'll present it. You'll come out to the center here, Max.
Max, I He's lying, man.
Okay, you're looking at me, and it's usually like 3.5. Ready? 1, 2, 3. There you go. One more just for goodness. Maybe, or maybe not. Got it. Thank you.
Congratulations.
So we'll see you back here next year too. Absolutely.
Our next student athlete, I'm going to let our head wrestling coach talk about, but I could stay up here for probably hours and talk about Mike Carter and the impact he's had on Northwest High School and the transformation that I've seen in the 2 years that I've completed at Northwest High School. Mike's, and I'll let Coach, I won't steal your thunder, but Mike's done a tremendous job of growing as a young man. Very proud of you and how you've handled yourself, especially your senior year, and has set himself up very nicely to be what all of us want our student athletes to be, and what all of our expectations for our students as graduates is being a productive citizen and a lifelong learner. And I know that Mike Carter is going to do just that. But we had a new wrestling coach this year. Had to kind of scramble, it feels like, but we were very fortunate to land Coach Jeremy Young. Jeremy has got, he's a local guy, grew up in the Fairfield City School District, and went through that awesome wrestling program, and that's a nationally recognized wrestling program, and we were able to snag Jeremy away from Fairfield, looking to get into coaching, and he's just done a heck of a job, giving stability to a program that was much needed in. Held kids accountable, was able to instruct our student athletes and hold them to high standards, and to get Mike Carter to state this year. So we were very, very proud of that. Coach Young, we're very happy that you're with us and that your staff's here. Coach Brian Watkins is also with him this evening as part of his staff. Yes, there is a relation. But we're just really excited about the trajectory of our wrestling program. So, Coach Young, if you want to say some words about Mike.
All right. I'm Jeremy Young, head wrestling coach. This is my first year. First steps I took in the door, I was told that I need to go see Big Mike and find out who Big Mike is. And I met him, and first I looked up, I told him to sit down so we can talk eye to eye. A lot of stories, a lot of good stuff from Mike that I've heard, and I got to know the kid, and I got to know Mike as an athlete, as a student, and just as a person. He made the year, my first year at Northwest, just memorable in the fact that we got a lot of things done. We may have not had the best numbers, but it definitely made up by having Mike there. Mike was this type of person to watch wrestling videos all night long, come in, try to game plan for the next match. He's just the type of person that's going to go very far in life, because whatever he's doing it to the max and to his best potential. I won't be up here too long, but Mike, several different accomplishments this year. I think we were like 8 matches away from getting, I think he was less than 5 matches away from getting 100 wins in his career, which is an awesome accomplishment. And I think that this year really showed how far he's come and how far you start wrestling. Freshman year to senior year to make it to state, which is just an astonishing accomplishment. And I think that he's going to go far in life. Mike, let's see, we were MVP in the Milford tournament. We won the Fairfield Invitational, and several others that were, to build his resume. He's the type of athlete that always helped me out in the wrestling room by, getting to know me and really showing me what Northwest was really about. And I tell you what, I couldn't ever repay him. But Mike's gonna go far. We're doing some MMA stuff here in the summer. He just got back from Virginia, did a really nice, an 8-1. But yeah, he's gonna be something to watch here in the future. So, all right, well, thank you guys. Mike. John.
probably should have done this in reverse order. Mr. Watkins knows his student athletes and his coaches very well after 2 years, and now we're throwing the new athletic director of Coleraine High School into the spotlight, having just started this week. So, Craig Euland, if you would come up, please. And Craig will honor our 2 student athletes in football who were named All-State, and then he'll introduce his 2 coaches that are here this evening to recognize the rest of his student athletes. Craig.
Sorry about that. Good evening. It's a privilege to be here tonight to recognize our state qualifiers from last year from Coleraine High School. Like Mrs. Crawley said, I will be introducing and accepting the awards for the football players that are not here tonight, and then I'll turn it over to our track and cross country coach and also our swimming coach. Our first state qualifier for football is Kyle Bolden, who is a linebacker. He is one of only 2 Coleraine players to ever be first team All-Ohio. Kyle was a leader of one of the best defenses in Southwest Ohio. He led the team in tackles and was named GMC Defensive Player of the Year. And he was also Southwest District Player of the Year of Defense. Kyle is currently enrolled at the University of Cincinnati, where he will continue his academics and his football career. And that is congratulations to Kyle Bolden. The next the next state qualifier for the football team was Amir Reep. Amir was the 2nd team All-Ohio selection and a 2-time All-GMC performer. He used his speed and athletic ability to contribute in all phases of the game. He had 2 interceptions in 2016, 1 for a touchdown. He recorded 2 sacks and averaged 18 yards per punt return and 1 TD, and averaged 30 yards per kickoff return and 1 TD. He is attending and is enrolled at Ohio State University for football and his academics. Congratulations to Amir. Next, I'd like to introduce our cross-country and head track coach, Sarah Chisholm.
Hello. It's been a great year for running at Coleraine High School. Started in the fall, well really last summer, when we began conditioning for the 2016 cross-country season. We knew in June that Madeline was on to something and this could be her breakout year. Her hard work and dedication to the sport paid off as the season turned to tournament time. Madeline finished 2nd in the GMC, 7th at the district meet, 16th in the region, which qualified her to the state meet at National Trails Raceway. There she finished with an excellent first appearance in 58th place out of 178 runners. And we're really excited to watch Madeline this season as she finishes her senior season at Coleraine High School. Okay. I'm also really fortunate to have the opportunity to talk about some track athletes this evening, one of which is here. Ryan, if you want to come up. The successes of the running program continued as we moved into the spring season. We had a really large number of football players come out for the team this year, which was really exciting. The boys' sprint program started the season in a really great spot, and as a few weeks of competition time passed, we knew we were on to something huge. School records were set in both the 4x100 and 4x200 relays. This group of boys captured the district championship at the end of the season in both relays, and the 4x200 clinched a spot at the state meet after a second place finish at the regional meet. With a couple days before the state meet, we found out that we needed to put in an alternate, and so Tyler Bigner, who's not here tonight, stepped up big to fill in just before we left for Columbus. The boys put their all on the line and finished their relay in 13th place. That relay was Ryan Price, Sincere Jones, Tyler Bigner, and Keontae Jones. Keontae Jones is not here because he is at Iowa State starting his football, college football career. He told his coaches on the first day that he was going to go to the state meet and long jump, and he did. His junior year, he missed state qualification by less than half an inch at the regional meet. That definitely was on his mind as we went into this season. This year, he was GMC champ, district champ. He finished 4th in the region and then finished his season 15th in the state in long jump in Columbus. Yep.
Sarah, if I could have you take the microphone with you, that would be great. And then Craig, you want to come back up and introduce your swim coach?
At this time, I would like to introduce our swimming and diving head coach, Stacy Tepe.
Hi. I have Carrie Tepe and Haley Trotter, two state qualifier swimmers. Carrie is a senior. She just graduated and will be continuing her swimming career at Indiana State University on a scholarship. Haley is going to be a senior. She was a junior this last year. She'll be a senior, and they both have represented Colerain at the state level the last 3 years. They both, I coach them for high school, but I also coach them for club. They swim year-round. 4:30 in the morning, their days start, and they swim, then they go to school, and they go back to the pool, and they swim for another 2.5 hours. They lift weights, and then they go home and they eat and they go to bed. And they get about 4 weeks off a year. So swimming is a sport that takes a ton of dedication and time management, and they are excellent athletes and they're excellent students, and I'm very proud of what they've accomplished. They've been swimming together since they were like 7 and 8 on the same club team, and then in high school, and actually compete against each other in several events. So they scored. We go for MVP for high school. We do it by postseason points. So GMC, districts, state meet, or sectionals, districts, and the state meet. That's how swimming is. They scored identical points. Like ones at district scored, Haley scored higher than Carrie did at GMC's, I think, in one event, and then they flip-flop back and forth. So they shared the MVP award at our banquet. So, but congratulations, girls. Carrie's leaving. I still have Haley left. I'm hoping to have a couple other ones this next season. But we had 44 kids this year at Colerain, and we had about 10 at Northwest. I coach Northwest as well, so we'd like to get a few more Northwest kids out for swimming. But we had a big program, so thank you.
Haley is Stacy's dog.
No, Carrie.
Carrie is.
Haley's like my second child. Or
She'll be
fifth,
around for
which
another
whenever,
year.
however many I have.
On three, 1, 2, 3. Great. Now, if I could have all of our student athletes come into the hall, I'm going to take a group picture out here.
No. We didn't know. We didn't know.
Well, I was going to have them have their family and friends stand up, but I think they got out of here too quick. And I also wanted to say, I was giving Sarah the look because the track coach posted a picture. She was a lucky one and went to the zoo this week and got to see Fiona, and I'm a little jealous of her.
Pam, we have one more recognition before we move on, if we
Okay.
could. I'll turn it over to Dr. Kessling, Human Resources.
Thank you. Tom, could you stand up, please? I would like to introduce Tom Marshall as the new assistant principal at Northwest High School. Tom is originally from Waynesfield, Ohio. For the past 14 years, Tom has been a teacher at Wilson Middle School in Hamilton. Tom earned his bachelor's degree in middle childhood education from Bluffton University and his master's in educational leadership from the University of Cincinnati. Tom is supported by his wife, Brooke. Brooke, do you want to stand up? Tom also has the support of 2 young children at home. Please join me in welcoming Tom to the Northwest family. Pauletta will want to get your picture as well, so you all can step in the hallway as well. Thank you for coming and welcome to our family.
Waynesville
Congratulations.
Sauerkraut Festival, right? Waynesfield, not Bill. All right.
It's always nice to be able to recognize that many students, and we want to congratulate the football players that weren't here that are already working out for their football season. Okay.
All right, the next one is the Nutrition Standards Administrative Regulation Annual Compliance Report by Lisa Robeson and Bonnie Talinda.
All right, I apologize, this is going to be a little dry. But in light of national concerns with poor health in childhood obesity, we need to be particularly vigilant of the types of foods that are sold in the schools. School wellness plans and programs must include nutrition guidelines equal to the guidelines issued by the USDA. Nutrition standards must be met for all food sales during the regular school day. And the regular school day is defined as the period from midnight before to 30 minutes after the end of the school day. This includes entrees, beverages, and a la carte. Food provided for free as a refreshment is exempt, although we would recommend that you follow the guidelines. It is exempt. Northwest nutrition standards are in alignment with Alliance for Healthier Generations school beverage and competitive food guidelines. Exemptions to these nutrition standards apply only to fundraisers, interscholastic athletic events, or other school-related events held outside of that regular school day window. The restrictions do not apply to vending machines accessible only to staff. There are school beverage guidelines. Elementary and middle schools are permitted to have only plain water, milk, or 100% juice. High schools are permitted to have water, flavored water, milk, 100% juice, mid-calorie beverages, and 0 or low-calorie beverages. However, all beverages have size restrictions except water. There are also school food guidelines, and Smart Snack foods are approved based on the Alliance for Healthier Generation product calculator. Any food sold in schools must follow the following guidelines. They must be whole grain rich, which is greater than or equal to 50% whole grains by weight, or have the first ingredient be whole grain. You can also have the first ingredient a fruit, vegetable, dairy, or protein food. It can be a combination food, combining at least a quarter cup of fruit and or vegetable, or the food must meet the nutrient standards for calories, sodium, fats, and sugar. All snacks that we serve must be less than or equal to 35% calories from fat, 10% of calories from saturated fat, and less than or equal to 35% of weight from sugar. Non-exempt entrees, so all a la carte sandwiches and things like that, need to be less than or equal to 350 calories and less than or equal to 480 milligrams of sodium. Other foods that are non-entrees have separate standards as well. Those need to be less than 200 calories and less than 200 milligrams of sodium. That is all in alignment with the new president we have. He has put his stamp of approval on all of this, and so we proceed until we hear differently.
Now was that President Trump that changed these guidelines that Obama had changed, or was it the Obama?
No, this actually changed probably 5 or so years ago, started to be implemented. And then we had different targets. So I think the first target was 13-14 school year, the second target. So nothing has changed from the Trump administration, from the Obama administration, except President Trump is now allowing flavored 1% milk, and it used to be that it had to be non-fat flavored milk. That's pretty much the only thing he changed.
Where's this Mountain Dew line up there for the guidelines?
No.
Well, Diet Mountain Dew is actually okay, but there are size restrictions on milk, but not on Diet Mountain Dew, which is interesting. So, that's
Before
it.
they sit down, Chris McKee's not here, he's on vacation, but I would like to compliment Lisa and Bonnie on the job they do. It is very difficult to find foods that high school and middle school kids want and that taste well and are nutritious. And we had power outages during the year. Lisa was over there, Bonnie's helping. They assist with anything we need. So they're doing a great job. We really appreciate it. We don't get to tell you much, but I wanted to make sure the board knew how much we respect the job the two of you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next presentation is Northwest Local School District Wraparound Support Program Overview. It is an overview of support programs and partnerships with other agencies to address non-academic factors. And Daryl will introduce a lot of folks that help us out tremendously.
All right, so I'm going to take a few moments and kind of share some of the things that happen behind the scenes that people may not even know happen in our district. And we kind of put this as a wraparound services approach. So what we really are talking about are trying to address some of the non-academic factors that influence student performance and trying to wrap services around them so that some of those non-academic factors are addressed so that students are more ready to learn when they're in the classrooms with our teachers. So we've strategically and systematically tried to implement a series of things that address needs that have come up. So we have a lot of things that kind of happen that wrap together and create a big package. So we have Camelot Community Care. That's a partnership we developed about 3 years ago. Camelot Community Care is an organization that we partner with that brings mental health services to our district. They offer a full partial hospitalization setting. It's a half-day program. We actually used to pay to send kids to a partial hospitalization setting outside of the district. This allowed us to take some of the students who really had some significant emotional, behavioral concerns and address those within the district. So that's housed at Houston, and we have 2 classrooms that are operating half-day sessions, so 4 total sessions in a day. kids are placed there, they still maintain their connection to their home school, so they get their core educational programming in their home school with the teachers and the staff that know them, while they're over at Houston for half a day getting behavioral support interventions, getting strategies and tools to help connect back into the classroom so that they're more ready to learn there. So we have that going on. In the 16-17 school year, we had 49 of our students who participated in this half-day partial hospitalization program within our district. 14 of those were transitioned back to the schools successfully, where the staff at Camelot communicates with the staff in our building, and they talk about what's working there. Are they seeing the same thing in the building, the same strategies? They go to the buildings and help support that transition back to the building. So we have that. Oops. We also, this year, and Heidi's here from the special ed department, her staff came together and said, we have some kids that were really in the buildings, and the buildings are not able to support the needs of the students. So they worked with Warren County Educational Service Center to build a program that fit our needs. So Warren County provides the staff. It's a classroom at Houston. It is a full-day program that supports both the educational and the emotional and behavioral needs of the students. This didn't even kick off until about February or March, because the planning that was in, that kind of went into making this happen, and the communication with Warren County about the staff that we needed. And so they create interventions that go back to the regular classroom. It's one teacher with 2 aides in the classroom with about 6 to 7 students. They're all elementary age students, and they're really working with them on some of those significant behavioral concerns. This program addresses both identified students with disabilities and non-identified students with disabilities, whoever the buildings are really struggling with that's not being successful within the school day. So we were able to get 7 students in just since March. One of those successfully transitioned back to the home school. We have one that was evaluated for an outside placement, and one that was placed into a unit within the district because they're more appropriate for a unit setting. So support that we really put in to try to help our buildings who were struggling with, we don't know what else to do, and so Heidi's department came up with this idea.
Darryl, is there a reason why we don't use Hamilton County ESC or Butler County ESC?
Warren County, when we looked around, had the staff mid-year that they could commit to it. They had staff that they could transition from the behavioral school that they run, that they already had some transitions in flux with, so they were able to transition staff mid-year with us. We also have a partnership with the Children's Home. The Children's Home of Cincinnati provides mental health services. They do they have a wide range of services they offer. One of the things that we were able to partner with them around was mental health services as well. You're hearing a common theme with what we're talking about with the wraparound services. But they focused on the counseling piece. So we started with, we have students who are struggling with depression, anxiety, with grief, with divorce, with any kind of emotional issue that could be impeding them from participating fully in the educational program. So the Children's Home was able to bring staff to us so that it's on site, it's in the school, kids don't travel, they don't miss any academics. They provided us staff. Our counselors, administrators knew kids, knew who was struggling, connected with families. Would you be willing and open to this kind of service? So we started with about 4 therapists, and we just kept growing. Families kept asking for this service. The therapists are actually in the school. They meet one-on-one with the kid. They do individual therapy. So it's that mental health service and support right in our schools with our kids. They don't have to go anywhere for it. They have 7 now therapists that are working in every single building in our district. So every building has a connection to a therapist who can offer one-on-one mental health services and counseling to students who are in need. This year, they actually added a case coordinator. So there's a care coordinator who actually works with families to help them manage the system, manage the billing, manage family services if the family needs some services at home, as in addition to the kids who might need services at school. And starting next year, they're going to provide a physician who will come out, they think probably twice a week to start, and then they're thinking eventually it's going to build because of the number of cases that we're seeing into once a week, where the physician will be on site in one of our buildings, where families who have medication needs don't have to drive down to the children's home or other facilities. They can come to the school, meet with that physician, and get their medication needs taken care of. So really trying to bring kind of that full service support to our families. We also have a behavioral specialist that was an ED teacher in our district, and we brought her out of the classroom. She does a tremendous job working with students with disabilities, without disabilities. She is masterful at behavioral interventions. So Melissa Nelson was a teacher at White Oak. She came out of the classroom, became a behavioral specialist. She works with all of our buildings. She supports students and teachers. She actually works directly with students when teachers refer them because they have behavioral concerns. We have principals who will say we have a staff member who's struggling with classroom management, so she'll go in and give them some coaching on how to run an effective classroom. She worked with 74 students directly, where she was in the classroom observing, giving corrective feedback to the teacher about this is a strategy you would try with this behavior that this child is exhibiting. Of the 74 students she worked with, 35 of them, or 90% of them, were general education students, and 35 were not referred for a formal evaluation. So 90% of the regular ed students that she worked with, she was able to put effective interventions in place that they were able to be successfully educated within that setting without additional supports from an IEP. So she also went, because of her background in running an emotionally disturbed unit, she went through all of our emotionally disturbed units this year and did coaching with the teachers about behavioral interventions, data collection. So she really helped kind of bring some consistency to that. In addition, this year we actually wrote a grant with the Easter Seals, and were awarded a grant. It's a Community Connector grant from the state of Ohio. It's one of Governor Kasich's initiatives. This grant partnered us with Easter Seals, Department of Youth Services, and this grant was meant to provide one-on-one mentoring for at-risk youth. What we did was we looked at the high schools and we picked 12th graders and 9th graders. We wanted to get kids who were seniors and who were credit deficient, who were struggling, who may not make it to graduation, and we wanted to focus on 9th graders who were brand new to high school. We know that 9th grade year is pivotal. Success in 9th grade puts you on a trajectory to have greater likelihood of success in high school. So we focus on those two groups. We had a gentleman, Steve Bett from Easter Seals, who was our connection here. He worked with our district to really identify the kids and the mentors, connect them, run programs. They had monthly meetings where they focused on character ed skills. And we had 10 seniors that were identified for one-on-one mentors, and 9 of them graduated. So that extra help and that support. We did reapply for this grant for next year so that we can continue to offer that mentoring and support. We're hoping to grow it so that our freshmen don't lose their mentors as they move into their sophomore year. A lot of these programs are connections. One of the people that I want to recognize who's here tonight is Lindsay Gibson. She is our district social worker. Lindsay is someone that all of these programs connect to. They know her number, she knows their number, so she is always in connection with and coordinating all of the referrals for the programs. The Connections program is still run through Heidi's department, but for most of our wraparound services, Lindsay is one of the point people that people reach out to that really kind of brings some of the services and connects them to the students and families in our district. One of the other things that we're really excited about, and I have some additional people that I'm going to let talk about this, we developed a partnership with the Hamilton County Juvenile Justice System in collaboration with the Legal Aid Society of Cincinnati through a workshop that we went to about 2 years ago almost. And through that collaborative process at Georgetown University, we were able to come up with some ideas about how we wanted to address some significant issues our district was facing. One of the ideas that came out of this was a diversionary court. And we didn't want to just create a typical diversionary court and replicate things. We wanted to put our own spin on it. So we came up with the acronym of SAFE Council, Student and Family Engagement, because we wanted it to be more than a punitive approach to diversionary court and addressing truancy. We wanted to really wrap around. So we started this in February of 2016. It really was an outgrowth of trying to address issues around truancy. So what we did that was different around this was we decided that we were going to have everyone that needed to be there at these hearings. We have these at the Colerain Township trustee hearing, or the trustee chambers. So we appreciate the partnership with Colerain to allow that facility to be used. Every time we have a hearing, we have Dina Naderman, who is our hearing officer, who is here tonight and will speak in a moment. We have Pauletta Crowley from Student Services. We have Matt Pining, our enrollment supervisor. We have Lindsay Gibson. We have representatives from Camelot who are there in case families might need to be immediately connected for mental health services. We have our school resource officer, our truancy officer, Dean Dorfline there. So we send a team of people who meet the family there, listen to the issue that brought them to this place, and then try to problem solve solutions. So this year we added more and more time. We keep adding more and more time as much as the court and Dina will allow. We've also added disorderly conduct, so students who are charged with disorderly conduct at the high school can also be deferred to the unofficial docket, so it doesn't leave an official record with them. During the 2016-17 school year, this group, through their meetings, heard 225 cases. 125 were dismissed. 42 of those were withdrawn for one reason or another. A lot of times with transiency, students are withdrawn to an online school or to a different district. 36 went official, and 64 are coming back to be reviewed at the beginning of the year because they continually meet with the family, put a plan in place, bring them back periodically to see if the plan is working, revise the plan, and then if the plan is working, they will release them. We have proposed a grant, or I should say, Dina and the court have proposed a grant to expand this to another half day. And I want to introduce Carla, who is here from the court. Carla is a magistrate, Carla Gunther, who went with us to help develop and was part of the inception of this idea. We have Judge Williams and we have Dina Naderman, and I'd like for them to come up and share their comments and perspectives on this, and then we'll kind of talk about our next steps.
Good evening. As Daryl said, my name is Dina Naderman. I am the Director of Special Projects with Hamilton County Juvenile Court, and I am the unofficial hearing officer for the SAFE Council. I've been in that role since February of 2016, so I had the great fortune of being connected to this program, which I'm very proud of. This is something that we see really good results out of. Basically, the way that it's run is that the Northwest School District identifies youth that they feel would be appropriate to refer to the unofficial court. It goes through our court, and we assign it a U number, which just basically means that it's handled unofficially through our court. It's docketed, so they receive official notification from the court stating that you need to appear at this date, at this time, to address issues related to truancy. And then they come before me, and at that point in time, I have a conversation with them about whether they want this matter to continue to go unofficial. And I really stress with them the benefit of hearing something like this unofficial. And basically what I say to them is, if we're successful and you are going to school every day and you're doing your work and you're getting good grades and you're not being a behavior issue at school, we can dismiss this charge as if it were never filed against you, which means you will not have a record with juvenile court. And then we start digging into what's actually going on. What are the barriers that are preventing you from going to school? And then that opens up a whole floodgate of reasons why they are or are not going to school. At that point in time, then, we really open it up to the team, and it really is a team effort. Daryl introduced a lot of the folks that participate in that, and I can tell you unequivocally, if I didn't have those folks sitting in that courtroom with me, we wouldn't be as successful as we are. And I really have to give credit to the board and to Daryl and to Mr. Bowling for identifying that this is a problem that you want to issue and then putting the resources behind it. Because again, if we didn't have those folks sitting in the courtroom, if we didn't have the dedication of the administrators that come to the hearings and tell us what's going on with that family, because in other settings where we've done something similar, where we don't have the school on board, the kids will come in and say, well, I was sick, or I tried this, and I talked with the school, and they wouldn't do anything. But to actually have an administrator there that can say, whoa, wait a minute, remember when we tried to get this meeting, or remember when we did this? It really cuts down on some of the manipulation that can occur. So having those administrators there is crucial. We develop a plan, we get everybody's buy-in, and then the really important piece of this is the accountability, which is we continue it out for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever we feel is appropriate. And then we bring them back and we see how the plan went. And if things are going well, we dismiss it. If they're not going so well, then we evaluate the plan and retweak it. And then we continue it again. So I would say on average, we probably see some of these more difficult families 4 or 5 times in a school year, usually on a monthly basis. And that's kind of basically how we run our Safe Council. I'd like to have Judge Williams talk. If it weren't for the guidance from Judge Williams and Carla and identifying that this is important to the court, we wouldn't have the resources to be able to participate. So I want to hand it off to Judge Williams for him to talk about kind of partnerships and growth and that.
Good evening. My name is John Williams. I'm juvenile court judge in Hamilton County, and I want to compliment you on your willingness to engage in an effort like this. We have several other programs in the court that we, over the years, have come to understand because of the tremendous engagement, because service providers are there, people that are decision makers, they're right there in these hearings. You can actually have services provided for the kids, the families, right then and there. It's different, and when the folks come to my court, because everybody's not sitting there, I obviously refer them, but there's not the immediacy to it. And so really you should be given great credit, because communities all over Hamilton County are looking at models like this. There's a lot of studies that show once a young person becomes part of the system, statistically, there's a lot of statistics that will point to the child will recidivate and sort of continue on. And every effort that's made to keep them out of the system at the beginning of this is a huge factor in making sure they don't enter into the system and become sort of part of it. And so we're finding this out, through research, through sort of what we've done, through going to many of the academic institutions and research. Everything we can do to keep a young person out of what we do at court, in the juvenile court, is a huge benefit to really a much more productive life. And so we're so happy with your cooperation and really your vision that as part of our juvenile court training this year, Daryl's going to be one of the presenters and we have people from Georgetown coming in, and they're going to talk about this and do a bit of a training on this. And so, we think it's great. I got to tell you, we talk about sharing resources, and Dina Naderman, I don't know if she's got wings under her shirt there or something, but you have no idea the value and the respect that I have for her. And for her, I think you're coming down, 3 times on average a month, looking to expand it. She's got a lot of other duties, and she comes and she loves it. She comes, loves seeing the kids, the families, and really trying to work through the problems. So we're happy. We're happy to allow and to have really pushed Dina here. She's one of the great assets of our court. Carla Gunther is the chief magistrate, and I would say, and I would say Carla Gunther is perhaps the most important person in juvenile justice in Hamilton County, and perhaps nationally in many respects. She's a national figure. She writes for the Supreme Court of the state of Ohio. We have bench cards that judges use as guideposts, and Carla Gunther literally has written the bench cards that all the judges use in the state of Ohio, and she's right here in Hamilton County. In many of the jobs I've had in my career, I'm so excited to talk about people that most of the public in Hamilton County would never know their names. and many of you probably wouldn't know Carla's name. You probably maybe not know my name, and maybe you know Dina's, but we have people in the court, you have people under you that are doing selfless work to really try to improve the lives of the kids that they come in contact with. And it shouldn't go unnoticed. The people sometimes have no idea, but I can tell you that other communities now are clamoring for what you're doing. In fact, I was just in Price Hill, was it 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago? Price Hill Community Council, a little bit different model, wants to do what you're doing. They want to take the kids that are sort of younger kids doing the stupid stuff that's very annoying in the neighborhood, keep them out there, have their own community court. We're talking about this in Avondale, Madisonville, and other places. And really, you guys are either the leading edge or the bleeding edge on this. So we're delighted to partner with you. We would look forward to any expansion and anything else you want to do. We learn from you, and hopefully we can bring some experience for it too. So, we couldn't be happier. So thank you so much, and God bless you for having us. Thanks.
And so just to reiterate, we do have the administrators who show up every time there's a case heard. The principal and counselor will be there as additional support to have that intimate knowledge of what's been going on in the buildings. And when we sat at Georgetown with this idea, and this idea kind of started coming to fruition, Carla was the one who said, I've got the perfect person for you, and tagged Dina for it. And I think every administrator in the district and anyone who has been involved in this process would agree 1,000% over that Dina is the perfect person to come in and work with us to make this a reality. So we appreciate that partnership. Looking ahead, we also have some other things that we're trying to do as we go forward. So the Community Connector Grant, it's an annual grant that you can apply for. We actually were approached and applied for a Community Connector Grant with something called the HEMI program. It's Higher Education and Mentoring Initiative. It's through UC. They currently operate with Cincinnati Public, and it is about supporting students who are in foster care and connecting them with a mentor as a junior who will stay with them through their junior and senior year and into their first and second year out of high school to help with that transition for students who are still in foster care. So we actually today, a couple hours ago, found out that we did get that grant. So that grant is actually, it's phenomenal. When we were approached by that, the person from the HEMI program who approached us wanted to actually build a collaborative. So it's not just us. It will be us as well as Mount Healthy, Norwood, and several other schools in the area so that we can collaborate with resources around students who are in foster care. But that grant was awarded. We did reapply for the Community Connector Grant so we can maintain that mentoring. We're looking to expand the Safe Council. We're looking at trauma-informed care as a way to really understand the way students respond when they're experiencing trauma and how we can better respond to them so that they're more prepared to learn. And then looking to expand into some parent projects that will help parents and students come together to help with some parenting norms and some different things that might support families as well as the school. So a lot of things going on. I'm thankful to have Lindsay who can help coordinate a lot of this and be a point person, and for the partnerships we've developed with all of these agencies who are coming together to be a part of our district. So any questions?
I just, go ahead.
I just want to say, I'm glad you guys came to explain this, because the public, I'm sure, doesn't realize what we offer and the problems that families have with their kids and stuff, and this is just, like you said, Judge, if you can keep them out of the system and, get them on the right track, I mean, that's a benefit to everybody. And just, I would like to see you guys come at least once a year and, just so we can see what's going on and how the program is, progressing. Very good.
I know Jenny Key covers our meetings. I know when she's not here, she watches the video. So I'm hoping to see, Jenny, a really good story in the Northwest Press about this, because I know I always say my favorite part is when the kids are here at the meeting, but I don't think I've ever been prouder than to sit here and hear this presentation. This is the example that this school district is here for all kids. And to sit here and listen to all the different people and to look back of way back when you all went to Georgetown and how this has come about since then is just amazing. And Dina, I believe you were even at graduation, and I know, how cool is that? With everything else she does, she wanted to be at graduation. To see those students that were given a second chance to walk across that stage and be handed their diploma. So I want to thank you for that as well. And I can't imagine a better presenter than to have Daryl present, because he does such a phenomenal job. So I want to congratulate on the grant, also to let the community know a lot goes behind the scenes going after these grants, researching to see what's available, and then the grant writing and what it provides us and provides the kids. So I want to thank all of you for being here on a nice summer night to present to us, and our kids are very fortunate.
I just want to say this is, you know, as Jim and Pam have alluded to, such a positive for our community and a great resource. And you know, it's great to see the district at the leading edge, or the bleeding edge, as the case may be, for some of these trends in juvenile justice reform. You know, we were ahead of the curve with the state when they passed House Bill 410 on the truancy because of innovations such as this. In fact, a lot of times legislators look for things that are working well in some places and decide that, oh, we should make that a statewide thing. And so it was really good to see us, you know, kind of at that leading edge. But as I was going through this presentation, I started counting the students. I'm sure some of them are, there's some students who are in more than one, represented on more than one slide, more than one program. But I mean, we're talking about, just the things we're talking about tonight is servicing about 300 or 400 kids. I mean, that's a significant chunk. That's a significant percentage of the student population that we have here in the district, and it's really going to make a difference in these kids' lives.
Thank you. Thank all of you. At this time, we'll move into a legislative update. Michael?
Well, how am I going to, follow that? This is about the end of the legislative session. They're wrapping up the budget, which, as we know, wasn't terribly kind to our school district. That'll probably get, signed into law later this week. It has to be by Friday, June 30th. And one of the bills that I've been tracking, House Bill 170, which would establish standards for computer science curriculum, which would be optional for districts, and optional at any level. It passed the House, and it passed about 84-14 or something along those lines. And so it passed by a large margin. And I suspect it's something that the Senate will take up and finalize here in the not-too-distant future, probably in the fall. And so I think those are pretty much the extent of the legislative update.
Thank you. Jim Butler Tech update?
Yeah, we had a short meeting last week, just a couple of things. We had a presentation on our branding, which could mean we're going to have another presentation on maybe changing the Butler Tech logo. The name is going to stay the same, but we have 9 different logos associated with Butler Tech, so we're just trying to get something combined from one. So we'll have another presentation on that. And then the only other thing is we signed a lease agreement with Westchester Hospital where we will have a classroom in the hospital, and our kids will be at the hospital every day, which is I want to thank the CEO, Tom Daskalakis, for, since we were overcrowded at the bioscience building, we needed some more room, and they stepped up and got us a classroom in the hospital. So that's going to be great for the kids. It's going to be right there every day at the Westchester Hospital.
Thank you. Okay, master facility plan update.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Pete Becker from Megan Skanska. He's representing Megan Skanska on SHP, and we wanted to do an update on where we are.
Good evening. Todd told me I have to keep it under 2 minutes, so I'll try to do my best. Anyway, it's been a while since we've been here. Back in April was our last update. A lot has happened. We've done some FAC meetings and stuff, so we'll sort of, I'll let Amy drive, and I'll sort of give you where we are. So what's the agenda? Real quick, an update since April. We've got some important news that we think is pretty exciting as it relates to the scope of the project. With everything else, we always do a budget update, and then as well, where are we on the timeline? So
Pleasant Run, you know, this picture was actually taken back in early June, the first week of June. You know, we really got cranking in March and April, and then it rained and it rained and it rained, but we came out of the ground pretty solid. And then moving forward, you're going to see that, you know, when I was going back and looking, and in the April meeting, I said our first steel date was June 10th. So basically on Pleasant Run, we started setting steel around the 6th. Going into the next few jobs, I mean, we're hitting resources. We've got cranes coming, swinging steel every day. A lot is going on, so we made some pretty good progress on all 3 projects. Over at Struble, one thing you'll see is the building looks the same, which is, and at the same time, you can sort of see on this picture how it's, you know, sort of this is where the gym's going to go. We've since school got out of session, this is now gone. This is the 4 classrooms for the demo of the 4 classrooms, and this gym is actually going to come over right about through here and over to this corner here, so it's pretty exciting. Next picture sort of shows us, you know, that whole main level of the academic area is probably, you know, this was taken a week ago. It's probably halfway decked right now with steel. I think we're looking in the next week or 2 at our first big slab pour for the elevated slab for the main level. Taylor Elementary sort of looks like all the other elementaries, but we're just turned around a little different. Give you an idea how close we are building to the school. You know, that's one of our pieces of equipment. Here's the classrooms on this side of Taylor Elementary that actually Chuck and some of the maintenance crews are putting temporary window air conditioning in some of the classrooms through that side to try to help alleviate the noise and some of the stuff there. Moving on, Taylor started setting steel, so schedules are going really well. Next exciting part is, you know, what are we doing? Really important news is Todd came to us and asked us to, hey, can you go see what it takes to abate and demolish Beavis Elementary? A lot of issues, stuff like that. So we went out and did that. Tonight we're bringing the GMP for the abatement and demo, including that in our guaranteed max price. And the impacts of the budget we're going to get ready to run through. We spent a lot of time with the FAC administrative. We toured Northern Kentucky University. We went down and looked at concrete floors. We went up to Edgewood, actually one of Mike's jobs up in Edgewood High School to look at a rubber floor. And we came back with, you know, sometimes the lowest upfront cost isn't the best value for your dollar over the life of your building. So we're going to talk about that here in a minute. So where are we on project costs? So tonight we're bringing the demo GMP with Beavis added, and then renovation dollars. So the delta in the demolition projects is going to show up here. We're going to get into that in a minute. The renovation projects are all standing pretty steady after we brought the White Oak Middle School air conditioning project. The elementaries in this current budget report is up a little bit, 400-something thousand. And at the end of the day, you know, we've been presenting the 85,700,000 and change on the building GMP for the elementaries, the White Oak Middle School GMP for the air conditioning at White Oak, and now we're sort of talking about the demo and the flooring upgrades. Moving on to the next one. So,
but staying with
sure.
the total cost, we are exactly as
Sure.
we thought we would be. We're not over. We're exactly where we need to be.
Yeah, and I'm going to get into that, how we're encumbering that here in a second. So when we go to the next slide, what we did is we looked at the flooring life cycle cost. So the blue bar is where we're comparing a better flooring product to the base bid OFCC quartz tile floor. So the light blue bar is the increased cost per elementary of what that flooring product cost is. The dark blue bar is the cost over 10 years of savings on maintenance, comparing the upgrade administrative area in a carpet tile and the rubber flooring and all the commons areas. And that's about $27,000 a year. So all the labor you got to do with waxing, all the materials, you got to move the furniture out of the classroom, you got to put it back in, you got to strip it, wax it at the end of every school year. You know, it's a pretty expensive operation. So we took it out over 10 years. You know, the cost savings just going with the Kinetics flooring, it's a nice administrative floor. The teachers loved it, administration loved it. We did a lot of demo tests. We went to the food area of Northern Kentucky University This stuff was down on the ground with 3 or 4 years, and it looked brand new. You can drop, so the big concern was, hey, if kids are spilling juice and chocolate milk on it, and we actually did a lot of tests on them, and put it down on there, put the chocolate milk on the floor if a kid would spill it, came out with a wet, kind of damp cloth and an extraction, and it just took it right out. Looks brand new. The savings of all 3 schools over the cost of 10 years compared to the total cost of the flooring upgrade for each elementary is significantly. It pays for itself in about 5.5 years from the studies we did and presented to the FAC and the team. Moving on to the next one. So, where's the funding coming from for that? When we went to the building GMP and we presented the building GMP budget, to get to the budget originally, we had always anticipated about $930,000 worth of combination of Duke E rebates on LED lighting, Duke rebates on HVAC credits, and the E-rate credits for technology for network and wireless coming back into the project. When we started the elementary GMPs, we didn't end up needing that money. So when we presented those numbers, we were on budget, and we didn't have to realize that $900,000 in Duke rebates and E-rate credits to help buy all the things that we wanted for the project within the district. So in essence, the flooring upgrade being $147 per building, original E-rate credits were about $310 in the DD budgets, and the demo of Beavis, abatement and demolition of Beavis Elementary. At the end of the day, those ads, those increased scope gaps, come up to about a little under about 926 million. Not million, oh my God, 1,000. And the E-rate is about, so we're pretty much right on track with where we were, and we had always been anticipating for the project. And the really fun part of this exercise was, the Beavis Elementary was never in it. We're absorbing that within our project portfolio. And the long-term cost of savings for maintenance costs, instead of taking the lowest upfront costs on the flooring upgrades, Jenny could tell you she was part of them. She was really excited about the flooring, and it's a softer material in a classroom. The educational environment, the kids can sit on the floors. I don't think we have to buy any area rugs on the porch top floor. Yeah, so it's been an exciting process. Yeah. So with that timeline, the next big goal for the elementary schools are we hit the site jobs, we hit all the site schedules. We hit our concrete schedules, we hit our first steel schedule. Now we're just pushing hard to get roof dried on by December. We're on track right now for opening all 3 elementaries in August of 2018. We're on track on White Oak Middle School for that air conditioning project's going extremely well. We're looking to have chilled water flowing through the pipes and coils before the first day of school. We'll be doing a lot of tweaking into the fall, but we'll have a guy there to help out and make sure we condition some of that. The equipment's moving in any day now. Once I can get them off this other job, they keep telling me we're going to start showing up and start cleaning the brick and facade restoration and the caulking this summer at Colerain High. New electrical services. We just got the Duke final blessings for the Duke service. That's going to go in. I heard us talking about the electrical outages over there. And then Beavis Elementary demolition we're going to complete this summer and fall. So that's good stuff. So anyway, as always, thanks for the community and the support. It was great hearing the awards tonight and the kids talking about the services the district provides. And we're just the guys building the buildings. It's the administration and the teachers and the taxpayers this is going to be a great thing. And that's what we build. What matters. That's what I say. So
I think we need to cover a couple more things that we've been able to do from working with Megan Skanska and SHP. When you put Beavis in there as a demolition, you are able to bid out all the schools for demolition, which lowers the prices. We are still looking at Beavis going down prior to September Labor Day weekend.
Yes.
So we were able to adjust the price there. The rebates are important because it allowed us to upgrade our flooring and some other things. The flooring was very important to us. There is polished concrete, but every piece of polished concrete we looked at has a big crack going down the middle of it or to the side. Some people say that's the core. We're like, we don't want our parents to see cracked concrete as they walk into their new schools. the tile and the types that we saw at Edgewood is very colorful, very user-friendly, easy to maintain. The carpet was the seller for all of us because we don't want those carpet. They're not going to be loud in there, put it that way. They can have spaces to sit, but you don't have to bring in old carpet that makes a building look nasty and so on and so forth. It was in the student center where they eat at NKU. So college kids spilling stuff, and it, like he said, it looked brand new. We will continue to make some other choices as we start to get money back on contingency, as we reach our 25% or 50% to see what we're doing. So as we do that, we will get a list of extras that are not in what we have picked out, and we can add things on as we see that we don't need funds for other things. So all of that will be voted on by staff, and we're setting up things that can be emailed out to them, and they can tell us what they like and prioritize those things.
I know Jim and I had a chance to actually, we went to Pleasant Run and Taylor to see it in person, and it's just to see it in person is so much better than pictures. We haven't got to Struble yet, but it's pretty exciting to see all that steel. But it's funny, it's just an illusion, I guess. Pleasant Run just seems so much bigger, but I guess it's sitting on that hill, and there's not a building right up next to, well, there is on the front side, but it's really exciting.
I was telling somebody just yesterday that we started demolition on Central Elementary up at
Fairfield last Monday, and I think by the weekend, 3/4 of it was gone. And that's a pretty tough demolition project up on the Fairfield Schools
Saw that on
project.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Posting that.
I was out there Thursday, and I got to see Pleasant Run Elementary going up, so, yeah, it's just really coming along. I was surprised.
When in doubt, come on by. We'll be more than happy to give you tours.
And the flooring at the committee meeting was very impressive, especially with your girl doing the samples on the carpet, putting the chocolate milk and the
That was
fruit
Jenny.
juices on there.
She's Mike's
It's just
interior
wiped right out.
designer.
It's unbelievable. So.
But you know what I was thinking, as you said that, our presentation prior to that, 100% fruit juice and 1% chocolate milk.
Okay.
I think the other thing that I just want to continue to put to the public, and so if I keep saying it at every meeting, I apologize, but because of your support and what you've allowed us to do to move forward with this, we went into this only air conditioning Cole-Rainell. If you looked at what he had up here, starting next year, Cole-Rainell and Cole-Ray Middle were air conditioned this year. White Oak Middle will be fully air conditioned to start next year. Then we get Colerain High School and Pleasant Run Middle School by August 2018. So that's every building. So by working together, moving things, getting the exact models of schools we want, we were also to bring in the permanent improvement pieces that we wanted to do also. So we thank you for your support.
Thanks, Pete. Okay, we'll move into report from employee organizations, certificated and licensed. Classified? Any reports from school-related organizations? I have not received any requests for community comments. So we'll move right into financial reports.
Okay, the first item is a fiscal item. It is financial reports of the treasurer, May 2017. The treasurer and superintendent recommend the Board of Education approve the financial reports as listed.
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. Any questions on the financial reports? Okay, Amy? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is the certificated licensed personnel, retirements, and resignations. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated licensed personnel retirements and resignations as listed.
So moved. Second.
Moved in second on the certificated and licensed personnel retirement and resignation. Any questions? Okay, Amy? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is classified personnel. It is classified retirements and resignations. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified retirements and resignations as listed.
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. Any questions? Okay, Amy? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is a fiscal item, fiscal year 17 permanent appropriations resolution. The treasurer and superintendent recommend the Board of Education approve the permanent appropriations resolution for fiscal year 2017 totaling $193,045,126.26 as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Are there any questions on the permanent appropriations? Okay, Amy? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is a general business item, vendor contracts. The superintendent recommend the Board of Education approve the vendor contracts as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any questions or comments on the vendor contracts? Okay. Amy? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is a business item also, grant of easements for the installation and future access for maintenance of new utilities at White Oak Middle School. This will assist with the installation of the electric that is needed for the air conditioning system. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education grant the easement to Duke Energy authorizing access for the installation and future maintenance of the new electrical service as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thinking we better vote on this one. Are there any other questions? Amy? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a business item also. It is GMP 3.2 resolution, demolition of Welch, Pleasant Run, Beavis, Taylor, and Struble Elementary Schools. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the attached resolution for GMP 3.2, approving the demolition of Welch, Pleasant Run, Beavis, Taylor, and Struble Elementary Schools per the attached documents.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded on the demolition. Any questions? Okay, Amy? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is an insurance renewal, property liability, and auto. Attached is our property liability auto insurance coverage premium analysis performed by our consultants, the SIC Group. Superintendent recommend the Board of Education accept the proposal provided by the Trident Insurance Agency liability and auto and Wright Specialty Insurance property per the attached documents.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any questions regarding the insurance renewals?
Todd, they said that our usage was very high. Is that?
We had a couple situations where we had to turn things in. The gym floor at Pleasant Run Middle School that flooded. So we had some big ticket items that really ramped it up. That was about $190,000 for a new gym floor there. If you remember, it's where Colerain L is slanted downhill, and then something broke underneath and it flooded in. Since it's been fixed.
Anything else? Okay, Amy? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is certificated licensed personnel items. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated licensed personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions on certificated and licensed personnel items? Amy? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is classified personnel items. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded on classified personnel. Any questions? Amy? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a student services item, is extended field trip request. Northwest High School cheerleaders will attend Wright State University Cheer Camp, July 13th through the 15th, missing 0 days of class. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the Northwest High School Cheer Camp field trip as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? Amy? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is miscellaneous, Neola Board Policy Revisions. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the Neola Board Policy Revisions as listed.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions on the policy revisions? Amy? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is the 2017-2018 district handbooks, which was presented for information at the last meeting. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the 2017-2018 handbooks as listed.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments?
I just want to say how well most of them were written. All the ones that I read were very well updated from what the previous versions were, and they really look good.
A lot of extra time goes into that, so I want to thank all of you.
It's a lot of dry work.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be glad once this vote is taken and it's done. So, Amy, we'll go ahead and vote. Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is for Student Services, second semester HIB report as required by state. It is for information only.
Okay. You may have any questions?
Well, it looks like we're doing good at our schools because there were not that many complaints.
No, and
Many students
I don't,
that we have.
I don't want that to be misleading. We encourage, when I talk to parents, it's one of the first things I talk about. We explain to where the bullying and harassment forms are, so we're not hiding anything, but yeah, the teachers and principals have done a good job.
Okay, we're going to
Okay,
update.
for my update, just wanted to do a public discussion / information for you on retire, rehire. Daryl has put some things together. I have some comments of my own, but I'll let Daryl start and we'll go from there.
So for retire, rehire, we already have it in the negotiated agreement with the teachers that we just completed. But what we have are two different drafts of retire, rehire policies that would affect administrators as well as classified staff. So this would not be obviously a given. It's not something the staff would ask for. It'd be something that would be a needs-based decision that Todd would be the ultimate one who would really look at, is this a position that we really can't find a qualified candidate for, and we need to look at someone that has already retired that we need to bring back. For the administrators, just a couple of highlights that bringing them back, they would be brought back with a granted up to 3 years of credit. They would be on a 1-year contract, so it's not an expectation of renewal every year. And then we would have any of the people who were leaving, they're the first, if they're retire, rehire, if there's any kind of reductions that need to happen, they're the first ones who are going to go. They're not going to bump anyone else. So we have kind of worked through some different drafts of this with some consultants who have kind of led us through some of the things that are the things you want to kind of make sure that you have in place. For the classified, same, it's very similar in what they would do. It would be brought back 1-year contract. They're not eligible for a continuing contract, so it's still brought back with step 0 of the entry-level salary schedule. They remain on step 0. They don't advance in years of service, so whatever we bring back for the administrator, they wouldn't advance either. So the contracts expire in a year. It has to be renewed. So a lot of thought was gone into, if we need something like this, we want to make sure that we have things in place that are smart for the district, that give us the leverage that if we needed to invoke this for a specific position that is hard to fill, that we can't find a qualified candidate, that we would have the ability and the option with the right constraints and controls in place.
Some of the issues, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know just the previous stuff that we've done through Butler Tech is generally, let's say there's a teaching position and it pays $50,000. Generally, what happens with that retire or rehire, they're going to take a 15 or 20% bump than somebody else, that's not a retire or rehire. Are we doing that same thing? Is on the salary end of it?
This is only for administrators and classified. The one for teachers was negotiated into the teacher's master contract that we just finished negotiating. So theirs was.
What was that percentage?
It was 0 to,
3.
they could be placed
0 to 5.
0 to 5 on the
Okay, so
salary
it's just
schedule.
based on the steps instead of
Correct.
a percentage that
Correct.
the person that's not retired.
When this goes bad is when a district lets a teacher retire who's making 78 a year and brings them right back for 78. That is not the intention whatsoever.
Right.
But we also, if we have a good science or a math teacher who's going to retire and then go rehire for somebody else, if we want to keep that person, we have that option. Some other things to remember, they have a limited contract. They waive rights to evaluation and a non-renewal process. Contract expires at the end of the period each year, like Daryl said. It has to be a public hiring of a retire-rehire. If there's a RIF, the retire-rehire administrator has no seniority whatsoever. Administrator gets severance when retiring, and now as a retire-rehire, there is no severance. It's just cut it flat out, 1-year deal. If you want to bring the person back for a second or third year, we can modify days, years, assignments, whatever we need. They sign a release and waiver agreement in all cases. It's protecting the board, and it's kind of like a release and separation agreement. It's not being recommended for information and action on July 10th to try to sneak or hide some money in. It's just if we need it to keep quality people. We've talked continuously, and we've been questioned at board meetings. We need quality people. This gives us more resources to go out and get quality people.
Do we have that need right now? I mean, are we to the point we need to hire somebody that this is going to...
We have some classified employees who are phenomenal, who have retired, and we're going to look for another district. But if this policy is put in place, we might get some of those classified back. We have no administrators we're looking at currently.
Yeah,
It's
the
just
only
if we need it
positions-
for the future.
The only positions currently are classified. We have a classified aide that has worked with a child since she was very young and has 1 more year to graduate. She had to retire based on the retirement system, but would like to come back and work with the child 1 more year. So that's the only case right now that we really have out there. It's an assistant position.
We've had issues in the past that have been problematic. We had Braille assistants, so having someone who understands and knows how to translate Braille, and so those positions are very hard to find, and we've been in situations where we've lost someone, and that's such a unique, skilled position, it's hard to find someone.
And just for clarification, we have negotiated this with both of our unions, our teacher union and our driver union. Both have retire-rehire in their contracts. So this is simply for administrators and classified.
So this was for information. Take 2 more weeks. If something pops up, let us know. We'll bring it for info and action on July 10th. We had good news from Chris McKee checking all our water pipes for lead. They did show that they had none, and we are clear. We did qualify for some small grant monies to do some things, but I thought you'd want to hear that we did have on the surface, especially in what's going on in some of the other school districts, but ours checked out. Great. And then executive session.
We'll go ahead well, at this point, is there anybody in the audience, it's all employees, have any questions or anything that we talked about tonight? Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and do board members' comments now before we go into executive session. Chris?
Nothing from me, ma'am.
Michael?
I hope everyone's enjoying their summer.
Bob?
Well, I'd like to congratulate all the student athletes tonight that made the district and the states. That's an awesome achievement. Also, the SAFE program that Daryl and the groups worked on so hard and put us out there on the cutting edge. That's really speaks volumes for the district of what we're doing for our students. So thank you, Daryl, and thank the whole team for what they do. Thanks, Paula. Yeah, it's a lot of work. And the building program with the 3 buildings and demolition and everything and all the things that are going on around the district for permanent improvements, really going well right now. So thanks to Pete and his crew.
All right, Jim?
Yeah, I just want to echo what Bob just said on all those accounts. I think it's excellent. And like I said earlier, Daryl and Todd, I really think we need to have a presentation like that once a year, just so the public sees what we're doing and how we're improving and that kind of stuff. I just think that was excellent. And I think it kind of opened the eyes of the public to what we're real, what we're doing. And a lot of families have to deal with a lot of hardships and problems and that most people don't really know about. And so, yes, really appreciate that.
Great meeting all the way around, good news all the way down to our water being lead-free. Just kind of want to throw a reminder, not for the summer, but for next school year, if we could maybe get a few of those field trips, specifically the student leadership, student senate, student council, get some kids in, so the community can see what they're learning when they're going to these.
Plan.
Okay.
If you're good with the plan, we're going to enlist the Butler Tech digital media department
Okay.
for the program, and then when they go on field trips, we're going to ask them to get pictures and
Nice.
video and have them compile it, so you have a video slideshow at the end of the year and all of it.
That's
So
awesome.
if that works for you, instead of the kids coming back with the video.
That sounds good. That sounds good.
Email when he gets home, he'll realize he has an email from me starting the process of scheduling salt and pepper for next year. It's already there.
Okay, with that, we're going to take a motion to move into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Anybody have any questions or comments? We will not be taking action. So you're welcome to sit there, but we won't be doing anything but adjourning when we get
We'll
back.
have to do this vote manually, I guess, because it wasn't on
Yeah.
the, it was added to that.
Oh, right. Yes.
Mr. Heather?
Aye.
Mr. Engel?
Aye.
Mr. Harlow?
Aye.
Mr. Detzel?
Aye.
Mrs. Detzel?
Aye. Thank you. Everybody have a good night.
Or you can stick around.